Our intrepid comedian slash reporter Jimmy Dore is in Las Vegas again, where he recently broke a huge story about the Nevada caucus on the Democratic side. It is in Rolling Stone today. Not a big deal, though. Jimmy, I was bragging about how you're in Rolling Stone today.
Oh, wasn't that nice? That was very nice of them. Yes. So the story was the caucus. You know, I had bad feelings about the caucus when I was in Iowa because I realized when I got there that all the people who I would see working at restaurants couldn't go, you know, because they had to work. And I'm like, of course, the owners get to go, but the workers don't get to go. And so how really representative of the is this of the people's will? And then, of course, the same thing here. People don't have hours and hours to go caucus. And by the way, the caucus is not there really, I don't think. It's more there for the party to be able to control what it wants to have happen, because the caucus is pretty much run by the party. It's not really democracy. It can be however that party feels like picking. I didn't really realize that until I was at this caucus. And so what I witnessed firsthand was a guy completely incompetent. Either he was on purpose incompetent, or he was just plain incompetent at running a caucus. And you know, when you go, just giving announcements, like there was a huge ballroom at the Paris Hotel filled with workers, and he would get up to say something. Normally you say, hey, can I get everyone's attention? I'm going to have to make an announcement. So everyone stops talking so you can hear what he would say. But he wouldn't even do that. He would just say something. He would go, talk everything up. And you would say, what? And he would be gone. He wouldn't repeat it. You didn't know what he said. You didn't know what was going on. And then he would go out into the hallway, because there were people out in the hallway who couldn't get into the room because they were still registering as they were taking the vote. It was unbelievable. And he would go out there and he would repeat it without a microphone, and he would read it, but he was a horrible reader. It was unbelievable. So they took the vote, which they never even announced the vote. They just announced what the delegates were, which was weird also. Then I found out they were allowing people to caucus that weren't registered to vote, and then they went and registered after, which I'm pretty sure that's not how it's supposed to work. And then he also didn't select the delegates. You're supposed to nominate, and then select the delegates. They didn't do that. And he realizes that he didn't do this. Everyone is walking out the door. They're all leaving. And he kind of waits for a couple of minutes before he goes up to the podium to try to remedy the situation. And this is how he does it. He goes up to the podium and just says, please don't leave. And then he walks away from the podium. Nobody knows what the hell he's talking about or what. And then he goes back up and says, please don't leave again. And then he kind of explains himself. So my point was, it was completely unorganized, and maybe it was and people told me that it was that way everywhere around Las Vegas. I got emails and tweets from people up in Reno who experienced the same thing. So the caucus, by the way, and they haven't been caucusing in Nevada since 2008. I'm sure everyone knows that, but I didn't until I got here. Anyway, it's not a good system. I went to a Republican caucus tonight, and we got kicked out once they found out we were with the Young Turks, but we got in for like a half an hour. And we were asking a lot of Trump voters. I saw some Filipino Trump voters, which was surprising to me. I went to a table filled with the least amount of white people there, and I expected them to be for Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio, and they were all supporting Donald Trump. And the one guy was a 21-year veteran, and he was Filipino, spoke with a heavy accent, and he was upset that Mexicans come into this country illegally when his family back in the Philippines, he can't get them here. He said it would take him like 2 years to get them here. And I'm like, well, why don't you take the 2 years and get them here? I don't know. So go ahead. I don't know what's the problem.
So first of all, I'm in favor of a giant wall between us and the Philippines. Okay, I just want to be clear about that. Okay.
Yeah, how are you going to get it? Who's going to pay for it, Cenk?
Well, I'm going to make the Filipinos pay for it.
Damn straight.
That's okay. I'll tell you that right now. And then,
who's going to pay for it?
Okay. And Jimmy, no, in all seriousness, why did they kick you out of the Republican caucus? Did they say, oh, you're with the Young Turks, or that they thought you were asking inappropriate questions to Filipinos?
What happened was we interviewed probably 3 or 4 tablesfuls of people. Everybody was really nice, and I'm not confrontational or anything. We were just talking to some people about why they liked what they liked and how they felt about things. I did talk to a senior citizen who was for Donald Trump, and I said, "Who did you support in 2012, Mitt Romney or Obama?" And she said, "John McCain." and, and I said, "Well, how do you feel about?" Now, here's some of the mental gymnastics they do. I said, "Well, how do you feel about Donald Trump trashing John McCain's war record because he wasn't a hero?" He said because he was captured, and she said, "Well, that was bad, but I just don't think he knew what he was saying." So
Well,
she's just totally.
I'm always voting for the guy who doesn't know what he's saying.
Yeah,
To me, that's the most important quality a presidential nominee could have.
I'm sure they'd give the same pass to Obama or any Democrat who would make the same mistake.
Yeah.
So the reason, so all of a sudden I didn't know this, unbeknownst to me, as I'm interviewing the Filipino guy who says he's angry at Mexicans for coming here, and he's a veteran. She was talking to Hank, my cameraman, Hank Thompson, and she was like, "Who are you guys?" And he's like, "We're with the Young Turks." And she was like, "Well, what are you doing here?" And what? And Hank said, "Hey, I'm just the camera guy. Talk to him." But she didn't want to get on camera, so she wouldn't break into the shot. And I guess she was saying things to me, but I didn't hear her because I was focusing on the person I was talking to. So then she went away after Hank said we were with the Young Turks, and then she came back even angrier. She had these eyes. She had those eyes. And so all of a sudden she just put her hand over the table. It was a round table. She goes, "That's it. You're done. You're out of here." And I was like, "Uh-oh, what did we do, right? What had happened?" And she said, "You're out of here." And I'm like, is the press not allowed in here? Does that go for all press? And she goes, "You got to get out of here." So like that. It was crazy, kind of. And so then I think it was because she found out who we were, and maybe they were afraid of being embarrassed. I don't know, but because as we were interviewing people, we were telling people who we were, and they can Google right away who we are, so on their phones, and maybe that's what she did too. But she wanted us out of there.